Yay, Microsoft! We're number one! Hi, everyone. Microsoft isn't actually number one, and I regret to inform not only you that, but Microsoft as well. This is, as you can tell from the title, the E3 predictions, quote-unquote. I think I mentioned this in the last video about E3. I usually like to go really big with E3 and predictions and making it a big game with my friends and betting and making it a really big deal, and I love reading other people's predictions and finding out how wrong or right they are and knowing what industry insiders sort of know the best dirt or have the best insight into what's going to happen. And I like being surprised, and all of that fun stuff is one of the best parts of E3. Because it's so hard to be genuinely surprised anymore, because I feel like leaking things on the internet and spoiler culture, like just wanting to know everything, like about the fucking Star Wars movie coming out, like it's just like a factory now. It's insane, and there's just this ravenous appetite, and I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that gets leaked and companies have to announce things early, but now, like, it's like we're so close, and there's still going to be a few things that sort of blow our minds. So before we segue into the people who do it right, like Sony, who are very good at genuinely sort of keeping their stuff close and then springing it upon us in joyous fashion, I guess we'll just go through, I guess, the one biggest thing I have for each conference. I don't have a big list like I usually do, or I'll have like 10 or more predictions of varying boldness. I just sort of have one big thing that I anticipate or expect to happen and really hope happens, either because of intuition or just sheer hype, I guess. And I guess these are like more like trendy sort of ones. Like right now I'm showing you gameplay of Gwent. This is one of my favorite streamers, by the way. His name is Mogwai. You can follow him at /MegaMogwai at like every possible place you look for people who stream. So, you know, Twitter and YouTube and all that crap, Twitch. But for me, it seems like gameplay design is going to change for streaming and because of streaming, and I feel like there's going to be a really big swing for games to be more interactive with viewers in a chat room, and more, I guess, like the UI will be more cohesive and flexible to be streamed easier with, so a lot of like the HUD will be adjusted to make it so that streaming is like something that the gameplay designers like actively think about when they're making a game. Like, how do we get the audience to be engaged during tournaments for esports? How do we get the game to look the best so that people don't have to set up their streams in a way where they have to sort of cover, you know, the UI with their camera and with their sponsor and with the, you know, the chat and the top banner and the bottom banner. And a really good example of this is Gwent. I feel like they sort of did it in a way, either subconsciously or consciously, to like make it fit that way. And that really got me thinking, like, Microsoft is having a big push with formerly Beam and now Mixer to have their games just utterly compatible with streaming on their service and co-op streaming with multiple screens, and I feel like a big 4-player split screen Sea of Thieves Mixer thing is probably going to be what they show off at E3. And this sort of got me thinking about like games that are really a big part of streaming culture in Twitch right now, and that sort of led me to the thought, and I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of this, but PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is huge, it's gigantic, and it's a lot easier for free-to-play games with microtransactions and early access stuff to be on the Xbox One instead of the PS4, just because of how the infrastructure is sort of set up and how I guess each company thinks about both of those things. And so I feel like Microsoft would be much more willing to say, we're down on exclusives, we need a big hit, this sort of fits our ecosystem, this fits our brand, we're going to sign an exclusive deal or bring this game to our console first and show it off on E3 and say, hey everyone, you love this PlayerUnknown Battleground game, we got it. It's coming to Xbox. Please clap. Enjoy. So that's my prediction for them, is that they're going to really try to go after that crowd and selectively choose games that fit that model. And that's sort of like, hey, we got Scorpio, and it's going to be VR and streaming out of the box, and Mixer's going to be great, and hey, play Smite. Whereas Sony is much more likely to be like, hey, we're going to make Let It Die, and that'll be like our free game experiment. We'll dip our toe in that water, and because they're doing their own thing. I also really hope that Microsoft wises up and spends money and to try to get IO Interactive to either make a game, a new IP, or a game that they have in their library, in their history. That I hope they still own some of the rights to some of their games. IO Interactive, they make Hitman, by the way. Because it seems like just Sony is just completely beating the shit out of them when it comes to like going to every single major or minor Japanese company and just being like, hey, can we just get Yakuza 0? Can we get Neo? Can we get Nier? Can we just get anything you guys make and just put it on here? Oh, hey, you know, From Software, can we just pay you to make Bloodborne? So this is sort of a segue into Sony, which is, I feel like Bloodborne 2 is coming. This is more of a hope. I just really want Bloodborne 2, and I'm, again, not the first person to say that, but fuck, I want Bloodborne 2 so goddamn bad. Maybe the last few years of, like, Dark Souls clones popping up has sort of engaged them to really reinvent the wheel, and change up the formula and sort of take the best aspects of, like, how those games, how those clones improved on Dark Souls, like, with Neo, like, you can see the opponent's status, their stamina meter, and just how they changed, you know, with, like, multiple stances, and, like, they just kept adding so much to it while not really, like, making the level design better. I hope Bloodborne 2 is like the original Dark Souls in that it's not like you go to a hub world and pick a tombstone and then you know, whoop, okay, now you're over there now. I hope it's all just interconnected, which would be really, really neat. But yeah, I don't actually think this game is coming out or being made. I think they're working on fucking anything else that From Software has, like, not Zone of the Ender, that's Kojima. What the hell are they working on? What's the name of that goddamn mech game they're working on? Armored Core, that's it. They'll probably show off, like, just new stuff they're working on. But again, that would probably show up at Sony, so if I'm not right about Bloodborne, From will show something, because their Dark Souls 3 DLC winded down, so. Next, Nintendo. What the fuck is Retro doing? Can you please show off a Donkey Kong game or a Metroid game? Like, it's honestly time. Like, they've been working on something. I'm sure they got, you know, word about the Switch a while ago. I'm sure they've been sort of porting whatever Wii U game they've been working on to the Switch. I'm sure it's very easy to do that, because they're both in HD and they're both relatively moderate. It's not like designing for the 360 to the Xbox One where you actually had to, like, make your game fucking bigger and run better and look better. They have to show something. It would be so ridiculous if we went another year without hearing anything from Retro, unless they, like, secretly, like, killed that studio and, like, and there were no survivors left to talk about it. That would be nuts. So that's what I'm predicting, quote unquote. That's another hope. Bethesda, they're, I think, on Sunday, the Sunday of E3, like, before E3 officially starts. I think Microsoft is also on that day. I think Todd Howard might show his face and tease something Scrolls-y. I don't know if it'll be the next Elder Scrolls, but it'll be something, because they have the card game, and they have the MMO, and we obviously know about, like, Evil Within 2, and the new Quake, and the new Wolfenstein, and all the other games that you've been playing or heard about already. I'm sure they'll show off new stuff for Prey or whatever. Maybe like a Dishonored 2 in VR, and Fallout in VR, and Doom stuff. But I feel like it's time for them to sort of, like, give us a hint towards next year, where they're like, hey everyone, like, this year it's sort of slim pickings, it's whatever, you sort of anticipated all the crap we got, but guess what? The Scrolls are coming, and it might be something different this time. That would be really cool if not Todd Howard himself, but, like, someone did that. Where, like, I know they teased Wolfenstein last year, and they'll probably show it this year, and I hope they tease something for next year to sort of keep that daisy chain going. So that's what I anticipate, is that we'll know what their lineup is beforehand, things will get leaked, because they're very good at leaking things in the most hilarious of ways. Well, they'll like start their live stream as like a test run early, and they'll like talk about a game. Oh, thanks, Bethesda. Your review policy still sucks dick. EA, they are going to hit Star Wars so fucking hard. They're only going to do Star Wars. I feel like that's all they have in their bag. Outside of the normal sports annual franchise thing, they're just going to hit us with so much Battlefront 2, and they're going to start to show off their other Star Wars games more. Whether that be from Respawn or the Amy Hennig studio. I don't remember the name of the studio. But that's going to be their only... The only tricks they'll have for E3 is just teasing us with Star Wars stuff and Last Jedi stuff and the spin-off, which I think is being announced in June, so that'll be good timing if they sort of coincide that, like, hey, there's a Han Solo game and a Boba Fett game for the spin-off movie that's coming next. So that's what I anticipate they'll have up their sleeves. Ubisoft. I think I have been 100% correct and accurate in that every year since they started doing the, hey, we have a new IP at the end of the show, they've been doing that consistently. And every year I say they're going to continue to show off a new IP at the end of the show, and they've continuously done that, and that's so great, even though one year was Steep. And I think one year was For Honor. They're going to do it again. They're going to show off a new IP, because they are not afraid to make a new thing and just grind it, drill it into the ground like Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs in becoming some annual hackneyed nonsense. And this is not like the Rabbids Mario thing. I don't even count that as being a new IP. That's just sort of smashing two together into one monstrous, crazy idea. I hope that turns out well. That art looks bad, but that idea looks so nutty. Fucking crazy. Next on the list, PC Gamer Show isn't really a thing. I don't think I can do any predictions for that. It's not like Valve's gonna show up and go, hey guys, we're making games. God, I've burned so many predictions on saying Valve's gonna come back with something, and they never do, so fuck them. Unless they hire me, in which case I will make games for them, and I will never say anything bad about Gabe ever again, or Steam, and their dumb streaming thing. I think Borderlands 3 might show up. I feel like, if anything, out of all the press conferences, they might do some weird thing where, like, they just sort of, like, on a Monday or Tuesday, whenever that show is, they'll just sort of like, hey, guys, guess what? We're going to steal the show with Borderlands 3. Poo! And they'll show some cool thing or whatever. That might happen. That might happen. Randy Pitchford might do something crazy like that. Because it's very rare that a company will hit us with, like, a big bombshell, like, during the Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of E3. The last time I remember that was 07 or 08, when like the Brawl trailer dropped like after the Nintendo press conference, like in the middle of like a Wednesday, and it was like the trailer with like Wario and stuff. Like that would be so great if somebody did that. Just sort of like, all right, it's been a couple days since all the press conferences that went early over the weekend, and now it's Wednesday when all the sort of the big announcements sort of die down, and it's just a lot about demos, and then boom, hit you with Borderlands 3. That'd be awesome. Because they said they were working on that game, they were hiring for that game, so I think it's time for them to start teasing it. And if it's not going to be that for 2K, it's got to be the new BioShock. I know they're working on a new BioShock. They've said as much. And I know that Ken Levine's not going to drop his new Ghost Story game at an event like E3. That would be very unlike them. They seem like the kind of like end of the year VG awards with Jeff Keighley sort of. That's sort of like what their bread and butter would be. Other than that, I really hope that out of all of the games that we know about and sort of anticipate them showing up in some capacity, or sort of sequels that we expect to be made, I think we were all like, yeah, it seems like Far Cry 5 is probably going to be a thing, and then we've heard it was set in Montana, and then okay, they showed it, and now it's a game. Here's the release date. I'm sure there'll be a few more things of that nature. I hope they show more Kingdom Hearts 3. Square, I hope that you just show up on Sony or Microsoft stage and show that off. Because clearly the Final Fantasy VII Remake is not going well at all. That is, went from being developed outside the studio to inside the studio. And Cyberpunk. I am now on the fucking CD Projekt Red bandwagon. I am all for their games. Gwent is awesome. Go download and play that now. Witcher 3 is still one of the greatest games I've ever played. I'm still fucking playing that game. 200 hours in plus. I hope they show some Cyberpunk. I hope they talk about Cyberpunk. Got a little something to show us. That would be really neat. And yeah, that's about it. I'm sure we'll see more of God of War and Crackdown 3 and Sea of Thieves and Last of Us 2 and all the other awesome games that I'm really looking forward to. Spider-Man, I hope we start to see gameplay of that. Sucker Punch's new game, whatever the hell they're working on, I hope that's like a big thing that ends the Sony show, because last year's Sony show ended really poorly with Days Gone, which I still don't think looks good at all. And I hope it's like, hey guys, we're working on a new game, Sucker Punch. It's blah. I don't know what they're gonna do. But there you go. So that's that. Really, it'll be just less VR, and it'll be more like, hey guys, this game now works streaming live, and you can fuck with the game if you go into the Twitch chat and type in cheat codes or whatever. Like, I don't know. You can vote live on what multiplayer maps or what deck this guy should play. I feel like someone's got to do some crazy gimmicky things like that. But that would actually sort of be cool for certain games if people really hit that hard. Combining and intertwining live streaming and YouTube Let's Plays in the chat room and interactivity of someone on their phone or computer while someone is playing a game. Like, that's got to be the future. It's not just PvE or PvP, but just like PV Twitch chat. That's got to be so great. Like, imagine like Marvel versus Capcom Infinite. You just like let the chat decide like what colors your team is. Like, that'd be cool. Like the food or whatever. There you go, free ideas. Somebody hire me, I have more. Follow me on Twitter at @JaredRusso for more thoughts on E3. This has been a very long episode. I did not anticipate going this long. Thank God I have all this B-roll. So, thank you for watching, and adios.